Hi, I'm Laurence Lafont. I'm actually coming here with 3 different hats. One being the CEO of Microsoft in France and leading also our efforts for AI in Europe. The other hat is the president of a recently formed Think and Do Tank, which is a non-profit organization called Impact AI. I'll come back to that in a minute. And the third one as a French and a European citizen, and that's maybe the most important one, really looking at how we can advance AI in Europe, how we can advance Europe in AI, and seeing the benefits we can get all together from these new technologies. And maybe first of all, before zooming into some of the ethics and good topics, I wanted to highlight again how important it is for all of us to really work together on bringing AI in Europe and developing AI in Europe. You've talked a lot about all that this afternoon and this day, but really reminding 3 things which are of utmost importance for us. The first one, of course, is the economic growth, the competitiveness that comes with AI. We have to remind that in the future, AI will be the fuel of competitiveness, the fuel of innovations, of course, thanks to the data, which is a must. You don't have AI if you don't have data today. And this is really super important for us to ensure that European companies, the large ones, the startups, the institutions, can really work to develop those innovations. I care about ensuring that autonomous driving tomorrow will be also, driven and innovated from European companies. BMW, Renault are doing a great job there. How can we go even further? I care about ensuring that we can also, look at how we are building innovations for health from Europe, given all the great work we have and the great scientists we have in that space as well today. Second area, of course, and we also touched that in the last chat, it's really about talents and workforce. Every single job in the world is going to be impacted by artificial intelligence in the future. And it's not long future, it's short term. Every single job. So how do we ensure, first of all, of course, that we retain, we attract the talents that will develop skills on AI? And even maybe more importantly, how do we ensure that we offer for every single person the opportunity to develop their skills around AI? You're in the legal space, you're in the health space, whatever your job is, how can you ensure you benefit, you understand what AI is and how you benefit from those technologies tomorrow? This is a really super important as well aspect of developing AI in Europe and the world. And of course, the last one, which we cannot forget, is all the great opportunities that AI offers to tackle some of the massive societal challenges we are facing today. Healthcare, of course. France, Europe are countries, regions where we know we are aging, we have an aging population. How are we going to tackle that? How are we going to ensure that in 20 years from now, people will be happy and have a better life at home thanks to innovations, thanks to AI technology? It's things we are working on right now. How do we ensure that from an environmental standpoint, we also leverage AI technology and data to develop and further, bring a carbon-free environment? All those societal challenges are topics we are working on today already, and where AI has a great role to play. You will say, well, those are things, that are happening across the world. What's the role of Europe? What's the role of France in this environment in AI? Actually, I think we can really develop a very differentiated approach in this space, in Europe, given those 3 pillars, which for me cannot be separated. And those 3 pillars are relying heavily on what I call responsible innovation, meaning you know what you are innovating for, you know what you are developing, and you know why you are doing it. And this is really relying, first of all, on innovating in ecosystems. You might have talked about it already today. I think it's extremely important that we look at ways to bring together large companies, startups, institutions to think about those innovations in what I call ecosystem mode. So of course it will come to how we can share data, how we can ensure that this data, keeps the value add of each company, but at the same time enables those companies to accelerate innovation. One example, mobility. Mobility as a service, I think it's a hot topic everywhere. Many companies are looking at the kind of innovations they can bring in that space. What if we were able to have SNCF, Deutsche Bahn, many other companies, some startups who are also innovating in that space, work together and look at how we can really accelerate innovation in Europe, leveraging data, leveraging platforms, technologies that, of course, tech companies as Microsoft can help with, but building innovations on top of that in an ecosystem mode. I firmly believe that this is, an approach we can have in Europe, and we've seen actually some companies like Michelin setting up a lab, Moving On Lab, where they are gathering more than 40 companies in the mobility space to work together and build the future of mobility in Europe and in the world. Another important one, of course, which I mentioned is skills development. And when I mention skills, it's of course having the data scientists, we've talked about that, having the computer science engineers and so on. But it's not only that, it's also looking at how we are going to advance trainings to ensure that we are inclusive, to ensure that we can bring everybody up to speed on AI. And this is something we have, for instance, worked on at Microsoft. We have launched what we call the AI School, which has nothing to do with PhD or very advanced, data scientist programs. It's a training for people who are really willing to change jobs, to change their career, or who are in legal, for instance, and have a very strong sense of urgency to better understand how data and how AI can help advance their profession. And they are going to go through 7 months of theoretical training and 12 months of professional experience on AI. And this has been, receiving a very, very positive echo in the market in France from, of course, those persons who are willing to get reskilled, but also from our ecosystem of partners and customers who are desperately, I would say, looking for AI talents. And those AI talents, again, are not only, super advanced ones. We need a lot of those ones, but we also need to look at how we can be very inclusive and bring as many people as possible in those new job opportunities. And the last point is, of course, around the ethical use of AI. You cannot go on this responsible innovation, you cannot drive those transformations if you don't have a very strong sense and a very strong commitment around the ethical approach on AI, and on how you can also support these AI for good that I mentioned earlier and tackled some of those societal challenges. And this is the area I will zoom in right now. Ethics at the core of AI, I know there's going to be a panel on ethics, so I won't go in deep details, just to let you know, each company who is really looking at AI has to think about the governance model, the principles that you want to establish around AI. We have done a huge amount of work at Microsoft on these. We have an ethical committee. We have set some principles that you can read on the left, which are the principles which are guiding today the development of our platforms, of our innovations of AI in this space. So fairness, reliability, safety, privacy and security, of course, inclusiveness, and then relying on a very strong foundation, which is transparency and accountability for what you do. We firmly believe that this is super important if you want to advance those innovations in a positive way. And relying on that, we have decided in France last year to found a non-profit association, a non-profit organization called Impact AI. And we have founded this think and do tank with most of our customers, partners, startups, schools, who are willing to work together in an open ecosystem, in an open way, and think about those principles and think about how we can define all together for all the companies who are willing to invest and develop, AI applications, this framework of principles. So we haven't put the name of the site here, but I'm going to spell it. So it's impact-ai.fr. Still an FR. We will go to Europe very soon. Feel free to go there. There's a lot of open sourced technologies that help also, test data sets, for instance, to ensure that they are not biased. There's a lot of principles in terms of how you can drive, governance within organizations to ensure you have these responsible AI at the core of what you do and at the core of the development of your AI projects. And finally, on the positive societal impact, there's a lot we all can do. I will just take, beyond the principles and the grants that Microsoft has decided to offer to every NGO, every company who is also engaging and developing AI technology for good. We have launched a project which I wanted to share because I think it's something we could replicate everywhere. We have mobilized the Microsoft employees in France around AI for Good projects. So we had 12 projects that either came from Microsoft employees who are already engaged with NGOs, with associations, and who wanted to look at how AI can help advance further those projects. We came also with some ideas. It was just amazing to see how you can also mobilize people and brainstorming around how AI can help some of those NGOs and social entrepreneurs in the health space, in the agriculture space, in the energy space, you name it. I know there's one that you will hear about, which is called LISARC. It's a fantastic project in the health space to fight against lymphomia. All those projects, we are really looking at how we can help thanks to artificial intelligence and bringing the skills, the capabilities of all our employees to help on those projects. And I think it's very important as a company who is dedicated, committed to support organizations in leading with AI, to also engage on those kind of projects to show that AI can really have this societal impact on top of developing the competitiveness of France, of Europe, and also ensuring that we are preparing our nation, our region for embracing those technologies in the future. So as you can see, I'm super positive about AI for Europe. We have to move forward as an ecosystem all together, and I think there's great opportunities for us ahead. Thank you very much.